Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick review discussion on a game that I just beat. Actually, it's been a week ago now. I went through it with a friend of mine, and that is the House of the Dead Overkill on the Wii. Now, the House of the Dead series is a series that I quite enjoy. I own the first one on the Sega Saturn, the light gun, with the Sega Saturn light gun, the orange one. I forget what they call it, the Stunner, I think? But that's really the only game in the series I've played. The second and third one I've never played. I know they have that on the Wii, a compilation of those two that plays similar to this one, but I haven't played those two. So this is only the second House of the Dead game I've played. Well, actually, you know what? That's not fair. In House of the Dead 2, I have played before. I played that on the actual arcade at my local bowling alley. I haven't played that in years, but I have played that. So it's only the third one I haven't played. But now this is different in style to those games. If you don't know, House of the Dead Overkill has a grindhouse style to it. I love how they went with that style for this game, as opposed to the typical kind of haunted house horror theme that the other House of the Dead games have. Like, this game has style. It's very similar to the grindhouse movies like Death Proof and Planet Terror, that grindhouse movie that came out not too long ago. You know, this game has all these weird filters where, like, it looks like it looks like it's an actual grindhouse film where, like, parts of the film are missing and there's like blood splatters all over the screen, and it's got this really cool look to it, and it's very consistent throughout the entire game, whether it be the visuals, the music, or the story and characters. And I'll go into that. Basically, it's in terms of the gameplay modes, you can play it by yourself or with a partner, which I played it with my friend. I know this actually takes the Wii Zapper, which I don't own that. I'm hoping to get that one day. But we played it with just the standard Wii remotes, and like other light gun shooters on the Wii, it works perfectly fine. The aiming is top-notch. You know, no control issues or anything like that. In terms of, it's your standard railgun shooter. You have your kind of story mode, but I believe there was an arcade mode. We didn't go through that. Once you beat the game, you unlock a bonus kind of director's cut mode where the enemies are tougher, you get limited continues, and it's overall just a much harder experience than the original game, which my friend actually wasn't digging it too much. I was loving this game. I love this game. I'll say that. He wasn't liking it because he thought it was too easy, but it turns out that was just the main game. The main game, yes, is very easy, but the director's cut mode is quite a bit more difficult. So if you're looking for a challenge, you'll still find it in here. You just have to unlock the more difficult mode. And I'll be going back to this game. This game's a really fun game to pick up and play. But anyways, the story. The story follows a detective and an agent. The agent's name is Agent G, and he's got like mysterious persona around him, and all of the characters want to know what the G stands for. That's kind of like a running joke in the game. Now the detective, I think his name is Isaac Washington. He's basically Samuel L. Jackson. He's constantly cursing. He's constantly drinking. There's a lot of jokes with how crude his language is, and there's a lot of swearing in this game. I found it kind of funny, you know, and that's similar in style to like old grindhouse films. They had a lot of over-the-top swearing, and this game has that in spades. And basically, these two characters, they're in this, you know, this zombie apocalypse, and they're going after this guy by the name of Papa Caesar, which is he's such an over-the-top crime lord type villain. They have some other characters in there, like this Varla Guns character, which is like this motorcycle driving woman, and I don't know, there's just a bunch of interesting, absurd, crazy characters in this game, and you're basically going after Papa Caesar in this game, and he reminds me of Burt Reynolds. Throughout the entire game I was like, man, he looks like Burt Reynolds, and then I read up on the internet that his character model was designed after Burt Reynolds, so I was like, okay, that makes sense. But part of the reason why this game is so charming and fun is the story and characters. It's over the top in that grindhouse way. It's gruesome at a lot of the times, but it's also really funny. I laughed a lot through this game, and so did my friend. That was the thing he liked most about the game, the fact that it's this light gun shooter that's got such a great style and got such great humor to it. So it's definitely one of the high points of the game. You know, the story is definitely stupid. It's not. Don't expect any like it to tackle any important themes or anything like that. It's trying to be over the top and fun, and it succeeds in doing so. The visuals, like I said, have that grindhouse look to them, and they're great. One complaint I do have is the frame rate. It can get a bit sketchy at times, which is odd. I'm very confused as to why that is, but we did notice the frame rate got pretty poor in spots. But it certainly doesn't break the game by any means. The music is very catchy. A lot of it is definitely grindhouse influenced. There's a lot of jokes in here to do with music too, between the two lead characters. I love that. So the music, top notch as well. The sound effects are great. Now, in terms of a rail shooter, you've got points and stuff like that. You're shooting the zombies, and it's all on rails. Now, there's a few little power-ups you can collect throughout the game. There's the collectibles that you can shoot at, but there's also this green kind of symbol that you can find throughout the levels, which basically activates slow motion, and this is really fun. When you get into slow motion, it's really fun just shooting the zombies, because they just blow up into big gory piles of mess. It's pretty great. But the shooting's really fun. You can get different weapons. The points you can also get money in this game, and you can basically buy weapons and upgrade them. And I love that part of the game. That's part of the game that makes it pretty easy. But I definitely like how they included that. So it keeps things from getting too repetitive. It's not a terribly long game. I think we beat it in it might have been only 2 or 3 hours. It's pretty short, but it didn't need to be super long or anything. And I should say the director's cut mixes the levels around, so they're not the same level as you played through the standard game. There's some mini games too, but they're kind of generic, like shoot the targets type mini games. I think there's 3 of them. I didn't delve too much into those. I'll probably come back to them, but content-wise, there's a lot here for how cheap this game goes for nowadays. I think it's like $10 or something. And then there's a PS3 version, I believe, as well, which that version's probably better. If you can choose which version, the Wii one or that one, probably go with that one. I think it uses the PlayStation Move. But yeah, just a really fun game. Now, I was talking to a YouTuber by the name of Me Dylan, and he said that the ending is really disturbing in this game. And he was right. The ending in this game tackles a subject that you don't see that often in movies. Well, in movies you see it sometimes, but definitely not in video games. But they play it for laughs, which is kind of, I don't know, I found that maybe a bit tasteless, and it wasn't funny. They weren't able to make it funny, the disturbing part. So, not all the humor hits in this game. There's some jokes that they fall flat. But overall, the humor is definitely good in this game. It definitely helps it. But, that's pretty much it. Complaints with it, really, the frame rate, and that's maybe about it. It's definitely my favorite light gun shooter on the Wii. I played that Resident Evil game on the Wii. I think there's 2 of them. I played the first one back when I used to own a Wii, and then I sold it, and then recently got one. I didn't like that one as much as this. They're very different, whereas that one is almost too difficult. And this one is definitely a bit easier than that. But yeah, definitely a highly recommended game on the Wii. Had a lot of fun with it. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.